I.C.E. Inner core exercise.
We're going to take it to the next level. We're going to have so much fun with this video.
I.C.E. Trusted therapist, inventor and researcher, biomechanical expert, and trainer to the country's most elite athletes, Ashley Black.
10 years in the making, I.C.E. Foundations.
I.C.E.
These moves are so creative, and they're really going to challenge even the most expert exerciser.
I.C.E. Inner core exercise.
Hi, I'm Ashley Black, and I'm so excited to bring you 10 years in the making I.C.E. Foundations. And I feel very fortunate to have my great friend, longtime client, 10-year-plus veteran of the NFL, Marcus Coleman. Marcus, can you come on out? Hey!
How you doing?
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Can you just tell everybody how I.C.E. has impacted your play?
Well, I honestly can't imagine being without it. It's helped me learn how to use my body. It's helped the overall completeness of my game. Biomechanically, you know, more stable when I run, when I cut. So it's been a great asset to me.
Awesome. Well, you guys, if you're ready to change your body, change your spine, learn how to function, and learn how to look like this, then get ready because we're about to get started with I.C.E. Foundations.
I.C.E. plank.
Now you're ready to exercise, and this whole first segment is going to be based around working the deep and surface core. What I want to tell you about first is just your repetitions, because I want to be able to talk to you and instruct you instead of counting. So in all of the exercise, Marcus is going to do one isometric hold, which means you're going to get into the position and just hold still, so you make sure that you're doing the right muscles. Then he's going to do several repetitions slow, about 4, and then he's going to do about 4 to 8 fast, okay? So you can either exercise right along with Marcus, or you can go at your own pace. Just make sure that you do one hold, and then some slow, and then some fast, okay? So let me tell you how to get into the basic position. If you're standing, what you're going to do is just go ahead and carefully kneel down, and then you're almost going to fall forward and make sure that you have your hands and shoulders in alignment, okay? And what Marcus did was he actually stepped back a little bit so that his knees are not directly under him. This way we're putting a little bit of tension already on the transverse abs, okay? Now, if you don't feel it in this position, you may need it a little bit more difficult. And so I showed you, don't do it, the elbows and knees and the other position, so you can work towards that. But for the first time, try it in this position. Most people, even this stellar professional athlete, is probably feeling it. Can you feel that?
Yes.
And where?
In my very deep core.
Okay, he says he feels it in the very deep core. So all we're going to do is the I.C.E. plank, line up in neutral spine, make sure that you have the natural curve of the spine, that you're not sinking down or humping up, and this is where we're going to just do a breath, okay? So everybody take a deep breath in. Very slowly exhale and draw the transverse abs in. You're pulling them up towards the spine. We're just holding, 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 holding. Good, then go ahead and release. And then you're gonna do 4 slow reps. Nobody's moving, we're just breathing. Inhale and exhale and draw the abs up. Now when you're doing this, and just keep going, you wanna really relax the arms and you wanna relax the legs, and you want to send all of the energy down to the low abdominals, okay? You may find that your body jumps and moves, and that's because your brain is trying to figure out a new way to hold your spine. Okay, do a few quick repetitions for me. It's just quick breaths. You're just pulsing the transverse abs in. So it's and squeeze each time. Very good, and that completes the plank. So go ahead and rest.
I.C.E. pure rotation.
Make sure in between sets that you give yourself adequate rest. So for about however long you're exercising, you want to take about that long to rest and breathe and to let the transverse abs have a chance to relax. So let's go ahead and set up for exercise number 2. We've done basically correct spine and holding, and now I want to move you into your first movement pattern, which is going to be rotation, okay? So go ahead and set up again. It's very important that you set up in your quadruped position correctly. So check to see that the shoulders are over the hands and that the knees are slightly behind the hips. Make sure that the head, bring your head up a little bit. The head is always a natural extension of the spine, okay? Now what he's going to do is pretty much all through here, he's going to be nice and still, and the rotation is going to happen down very low. So what you want to do before you do anything is take a deep breath in, exhale, you're going to engage the transverse abs, and then you're going to move into rotation to one side and hold it. Okay, Marcus, where are you feeling that? Just keep holding it.
I'm feeling it deep core and also in the oblique.
Okay, great. Where you want to feel this is just a little bit to the side of the belly button. Okay, so we're holding that one, telling the brain what to do. Then we're going to bring it back across with an inhale. We're going to exhale, and we're going to go to the other side. And make sure that you don't use any of your shoulder, and make sure you don't contract through here. It's all done right in the front. And if you're doing it correctly, again, you're going to feel it right here in the lower oblique, okay? So that was our isometric. Then he's just going to go ahead and start moving side to side. And as you're doing this, you're just taking your pelvis and you're flying it just like an airplane, okay? You don't want to feel anything in your back that means that you're not doing it right. And go ahead and move into some fast repetitions and just swag it back and forth. Now make sure that you keep your transverse abs so tight while you're doing this, because that's going to stabilize the spine while you move it with the surface muscles. And you guys should be feeling that, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and rest, and take yourself out of the plank.
ICE, inverted pelvic tilts.
Please remember that you're not going to show up at karate class and break the board on the first day, and that's the same concept here. It takes a little while for your body to turn these muscles on, so don't give up if you don't feel it in exactly the right spot. Just keep trying to force the right muscles to do the action. And we're going to move into the next one, which is just going to be suspended prone pelvic tilts. So go ahead and assume that position again. Shoulder over hand, knees just behind the hips. Now remember earlier when we talked about the bucket, that's what we're going to do here. So he's going to go ahead and draw in the transverse abs. They stay tight, and then he's going to move. If he had flashlights right here on his buns, he's going to shine those flashlights up into the air, spill the water out to the front, but his abs are not loose, okay? So don't drop down like a pregnant cow. Then reverse that. He's going to tuck the tail under, spill the water out the back, and if you're doing that one right, you should feel from the belly button down. Okay, really squeeze that, take some breaths, and try to feel that down low. You feel that down low, Marcus?
Yes.
Good, then go ahead and move into our slow reps. It's just little pelvic tilts. Now, when you're doing this, make sure that you're not squeezing your buns to push you. You want to pull it up with all of the abdominals in the front. Also, up here in the ribs, we're quiet, okay? We're not working the entire spine right now. We're trying to isolate out that pelvis. Make sure you do a few repetitions fast and always with breath. Exhale every single rep and rest. And go ahead and bring yourself out.
ICE, pelvic tilts in rotation.
Now we're going to actually combine those two mechanics, which is the rotation and the pelvic tilts. But what I want you to remember, if you're not feeling it in the right place, then you really want to do more of that isometric contraction, or that contraction where you hold and you're just still trying to find it. Don't try to move into the slower, and particularly don't move into the fast reps until you've found the proper muscles. Okay, Marcus, let's go ahead and get back in the plank position. We always start in the plank. We always check our spine to make sure we're in correct spine, and then we'll move on from there, okay? So what we're gonna do is go ahead and move into rotation, either direction. Okay, Marcus rotated with the right hip going down, the left hip going up. And then in this position, you're gonna do a pelvic tilt. So you're gonna spill your bucket to the front, and then you're gonna spill it to the back. Spill it to the front, and spill it to the back. Now, if you're doing this one right, you're gonna feel it pretty much from that right hip bone on up under those right ribs. And go ahead and do a few repetitions fast. Squeeze, 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 breathe every time. Good, and then go ahead and take it across to the other side. So it's rotation, it's very subtle, it's very little, and then you're gonna do the tilts, okay? So if you can see this, he's in a rotated pelvis position, and then he's spilling it front and back. And go ahead and do the fast repetitions too. And hold that last one. Where do you feel that?
It was just on the left side of my belly button, very low.
Okay, great. So he's stabilizing with his transverse abs and moving with his obliques and his center crunch muscle. Okay, go ahead and stop and rest. And make sure you go till you feel it and you get a nice little burn right there in the abdominals.
ICE, side plank.
Make sure that you can always go back and revisit the exercises we've done prior. There's no problem with doing them, you know, several sets in a row. You want to make sure that you at least feel it in the proper position before moving on to this next one, because we are actually going to change the orientation of the body, and instead of being face down, we're going to be side lying. So go ahead and set up in your quadruped position, and then you're just real carefully going to roll on over to the side, and you're gonna prop up on one arm. Now you wanna make sure that you have aligned yourself in a straight line, including the head, and then you're gonna just lift yourself up, and all we're gonna do is that transverse abs contraction, okay? So take a deep breath in, exhale, send it down, tighten here, and you're also gonna tighten this oblique that's facing the floor. Good, then let's go ahead and do a few slow repetitions, and the repetition is just a squeeze, okay? Basically what you're doing is you're taking your body, and on the exhale, just turn it all into concrete on the inside. Try to relax through here, try to relax through the legs, try to relax through the arm, and send all of the energy right here to the core. Do some fast breaths for me, and just listen to the way Marcus breathes, and can you see those transverse abs contracting? Awesome. Good, then go ahead and come out of this, and you're just gonna take it over to the other side. Okay, so again, always start with that isometric. That's the way that we can really get that signal to go from the brain to the right muscles. Inhale, exhale, draw it in tight. Where do you feel that?
Deep core, left side of my belly button.
Left side of the belly button, deep core. That's exactly where you're supposed to feel it. And give a few slow repetitions. Keeping the shoulder high, you want to keep the chest high, the head high. Again, it's always a natural extension of the spine. You want to try to relax the legs. A lot of times I see people trying to kind of cheat up in their neck. Don't do that, you're going to have neck pain. Okay, and give us some fast repetitions, Marcus. So he's just doing breath and squeezing the transverse abs, and I can feel those obliques squeezing right here in my hand. Very good, and stop, and everybody rest.
ICE, oblique dips.
Okay, you guys are doing so great. Hang in there. We only have one more to do. And what we're going to do is go ahead and set up again, Marcus, in that side plank. And we're just going to add a little bit of what's called lateral flexion or side bending, okay? So always the first thing you do is check for correct spine and that transverse abs contraction. Go ahead and engage right here, and then go ahead and sink down towards the floor. And we're just going to do these, baby, just enough. Stop right there that you feel a little bit of a stretch right under here. Do you feel that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then we're going to bring it up, and we're going to come just above where that plank started. Okay, go ahead and do a few slow repetitions. You always exhale on the way up. Something you're going to hear me say a lot is blow, abs, go. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. He's going to inhale, then he's going to blow, tighten his abs, and then lift. Okay, so it's blow, abs, go, and do just a few fast, and just do them tiny. Just pump it, pump it. Very good. And we're going to take that right on to the other side and do the same thing again. Make sure when you get in the side plank that the first thing you do is line up your shoulders, your hips, your knees, and what? Correct spine. You're going to be so sick of hearing that. Deep breath in. Exhale, tighten those transverse abs and sink into that stretch. Take another breath in. Exhale, abs, and lift. Good, and we're just gonna do a few slow. You really wanna feel your body stretching, and then you wanna tighten it as much as you can. It's like an accordion, it goes, okay? So down and lengthen, lift and squeeze, and do a few fast. Make sure you stay propped up in the shoulder, relaxing the traps and neck. And you have just completed Foundations Core.
Congratulations! You've just completed I.C.E. Foundations. For more information about other I.C.E. products, visit us on the web at innercoreexercise.com.